I'm Michael Bain and welcome to Triggered, coming to you on this glorious Arizona morning from Gunsite, the greatest shooting school in the world, and for this weekend, the home of the Pat Rogers Memorial Revolver Roundup. Now this event is absolutely unique, where over the next 3 days, students are going to get to go from instructor to instructor to instructor, quite literally, the best revolver instructors in the entire world. There is an amazing amount of knowledge here, and there's so much to be learned about that one weapon that absolutely is not obsolete, the revolver. Let's go take a look. Daryl, talk a little bit about the creation of the Revolver Roundup and why it was so important to you and Wayne to launch this.
Well, it originally started, Wayne and I both grew up as cops carrying revolvers. So this is deep in our hearts that we are revolver guys from when we were baby cops. And it was something we decided that we had seen sort of the art of running these guns drifting away. And there's a lot of history at using these guns for fighting, combative stuff, law enforcement, and we felt it was important to keep the art of the revolver alive. And so we began the Roundup with Wayne and I teaching, and then we would bring in guest instructors with some level of revolver expertise to add to the instructor cadre at the original events in Dallas.
You know, I remember something you said, and I think it was a Tom Gibbons event that we were shooting one of Lee Weems' classes.
Right.
And you said instructors who aren't at least introducing their students to double action revolvers and lever action rifles are doing them a disservice.
Well, you know, you have half of this country lives in places that you can't, it is legally an issue with semi-automatic firearms, AR-15s, magazine-fed weapons. And so keeping the skills alive to basically be able to pick up anything and be able to protect yourself and your family with those things is an important skill to have that should not be dismissed. A lot of this country are hunters, sport shooters, things like that. They may have to press those guns into defensive use. So somebody needs to have the expertise to be teaching that. And we like to keep that alive.
And one of the classes that you offer here, and that's something unique about the Revolver Roundup, is you offer a pocket carry class. Pocket carry is probably the most popular way to carry a gun in the United States. And probably of the people who are doing that, plus or minus zero have any training in it.
Right, so I'm a huge advocate of pocket training. I do the pocket classes. The unique thing about this event, so this event, Pat Rogers was supposed to attend the event in 2016 and sadly passed away before the event. So we named it in honor of Pat. Pat was a friend, mentor, rabbi for me and Wayne and a lot of the people involved in this. So we wanted to memorialize Pat. People don't realize how big of a revolver guy Pat really was, because he was known for other things, but he was truly deep down in his soul as a revolver guy. His revolver Toby is sitting right here. So the biggest thing with Pat, though, was training. And what we offer up here at the Pat Rogers Memorial Revolver Roundup is an opportunity to shoot ankle guns, to shoot pocket guns, to shoot fanny pack guns, to shoot from retention shooting, to do all the things that you can't walk onto a regular range and do, or you can't show up at a handgun training class and just tell them that, hey, I want to run an ankle gun during the Gunsite 250. I'm going to show up and run the whole thing with an ankle gun. You can't do it. What this venue allows us to do, and in the spirit of Gunsite, the spirit of Pat, is we give people an opportunity to come out here and actually train with the way they carry, with the guns they actually carry, and we do it in a safe manner with an incredible instructor cadre.
You know the RIA 5.0 packs radically new innovations, but we didn't stop there. Introducing the RIA 5.0E. The E stands for enhanced, as in new optics, cuts, and plates. The updated barrel is crafted with improved materials and slide geometry. The look and feel is also enhanced. Plus, new lightning cuts show off the updated match-grade barrel. Experience the enhanced RIA 5.0E today.
Push, The button, Ruger, Smith & Wesson, whatever, obviously, if you got a Colt, you're going to pull, but push. I do 2 fingers. I wrap, I get the gun muzzle up, and I karate chop the ejector rod. The classic speed load is you come over here, and what I was taught with service revolvers is, just like with semi-auto pistols, if I'm push the button and I'm reaching for the magazine and then it goes into the gun in my workspace, I'm doing 2 things at once, and it's more faster, more gooder, right? So the idea with the service revolver speed load was I got to here, I'm doing this while I get my speed loader, butt to belly, guns reloaded. What I found is with the short ejector rod, the brass gets pushed halfway out, people chase failure, they do the PP shake, it doesn't work. Now you're doing the brass pluck. We're like 10 seconds into this event, right? So we get to here, you hit the ejector button, and it launches butt to belly, and then you access your loader. So here, right? Roll. What I typically do is when I roll, and I didn't explain that, instead of like push or whatever, when I roll against my palm, where's the empty? 12 o'clock. So instead it's bang, 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 click, instead of like
so
click.
You the gun to the cylinder, not the cylinder to the gun.
Yeah. So
Interesting.
So I've done 2, roll, 2, and then typically when I roll against my palm, I typically luck out and get with that 12 o'clock empty hole. The cowboy type loops, especially the later, the 2x2x2, you could at least get 2 in your gun, and then if you're like, oh shit, here he comes, can I declare war from there? I could do that, right? Especially if he's like really pushing, thanks, you know. He's walking right into your bullets. So with my strips, and I put myself on the timer, I found I could get 4 efficiently in the gun. And I'm sitting there jibber jabbering. I would be moving a little bit more efficiently had I not. And I could have 4 in the gun very expeditiously. And then when I was trying to get that 5th in there, it took almost as long as the first 4 when I put myself on a pat timer.
You know, Ken, there's no better place to do an interview than Jeff Cooper's gun room.
What ambiance do you want? Other than I am going to pat you down on the way out.
That's probably a smart move. You know, I think the Colonel would appreciate the whole idea of a revolver roundup, because certainly he appreciated a fine revolver.
He did, and even the Countess, Mrs. Cooper, had a J-frame revolver. But yeah, I think he would. And back in the early days of Gunsite, it was very common to have revolvers in class. So it's where everything, that pendulum just swings back and forth, and we're seeing more and more revolvers. And this is here's kind of how I look at this. Folks may say, oh, I always carry a full-size government model or my SIG 320 or whatever when I go out, and I don't buy that. They're taking a J-frame and stuffing it in their waistband, or a detective special, things like that. So people carry revolvers a lot more than what they admit to. So it's great having this event here, and there's few venues on the planet that they can do ankle holster draw, and so on, and Gunsite's that place.
You are right. Revolvers have come back around as more and more people have decided to take responsibility for their own safety.
Yes.
And a Glock 17 is a great gun, but it isn't a be-all, end-all of, say, like you said, ankle carry, pocket carry, those things where revolvers shine.
Absolutely. And you know, we're seeing more revolvers here. We do a 250, our basic class, we do a 250 revolver only, and some of it now, because of all the revolvers, and some of it we think is that people are looking down the road and they're fearful of what the government may try to do, and revolvers and shotguns may be the last thing they try to take. So let's get trained up in these, and I can, or if I travel with my CCW, with reciprocity, a revolver's pretty well good anywhere.
Right, right. That's one thing I changed when I traveled. I traveled with a revolver because I didn't want to find out that there was some local ordinance that was a surprise.
Yeah, that your 10-round magazine should have been an 8-round,
Right.
or well, however it is they want to make it safer.
This week's Triggered is brought to you by Muzzle Stick. Biggest, brightest, strongest. Taurus, USA. Always ready, always bring it. Stoger. Everyday tough. SDS Imports, Thesis. Thesis means quality. Hunter's HD Gold. They change so you don't have to. And MTM Case Guard. Quality shooting sports accessories. You know, Brian, with why?
Running joke.
One of the things that you can clearly see here is that people often have a relationship with a revolver that might be greater than you might have with, say, a Glock 17. Why?
They have their own personality, Michael, and they tell their own story if you know how to read between the lines.
That is a great line, and I'm going to so steal it, but you're right. They do have personalities. Tell me just a quick nugget on how your first revolver and your first shooting a revolver.
So at the ripe young age of 3 years old, my father had a 29-2, and he had just recently shown me this internationally recognized police training film, Dirty Harry. So I begged him to let me shoot that revolver, and at 3, he couldn't quite get his arms around me as I ran through the double action trigger, and I still bear the scar to this day. My mom doesn't like it when I share that story, but now it's it's kind of time heals all wounds, but the scar remains. So that was my first experience with a revolver.
You know, one of the questions is you're one of the great PPC shooters ever.
I don't know about great, but
yeah, I think great actually works pretty well here. From competition, what did you bring back from competition to the street, to your job?
A high degree of accountability for every round fired through even a semi-auto. So
that's a really good point, because if you're a competitor, what do you have to know above all other things?
Exactly where every single round went, and you got to read it through the sights.
Wayne, you and Daryl put this together back 7 years ago?
About 2014, so almost 9 probably.
Wow. Talk about why it was so important to you guys to make this happen.
Well, we were both friends of Pat. Pat Rogers was, a big part of our professional development, our training development. I had met Pat. I had read about Pat for years and finally got to take a class with Pat after I came back from Iraq. And in 2007, I started taking classes with him, became friends with him. I was astonished that Pat would want to call me up and talk to me every couple of weeks. I felt very privileged and very blessed for that. So and we knew that Pat was big on revolvers. We knew that Pat's career in policing had been around revolvers. And we thought that it would be a great way to generate interest in the revolver using Pat's name and reputation, because his reputation then was all around ARs. He was teaching carbine classes everywhere. So we started that up, and it was kind of an experiment, and it took hold, and we quickly outgrew the facility we had available to us.
Americans tend to have a mindset that goes to the next big thing, and then the thing that was left behind is worthless. But the revolver, a question like which is a better defensive weapon, a semi-auto or revolver, is the wrong question.
Right.
The right question is what's the application? And for you, when you're talking to people, what's the perfect application for a defensive revolver?
The perfect application is the everyman citizen, either for defense in their home or defense on the streets. It's not a complex system. It will suffer a little bit of under attention on the maintenance side. It's easy to teach someone the single trigger stroke. It's compact. You can adapt the size of it to various hand sizes, and you can buy it in efficient calibers. It's easy. It's mild-mannered. The 38 service revolver or compact service revolver is a very easy solution for people's defensive needs. We have experimented with different people coming in and presenting. We've incorporated combatives into it. What we've tried to present is kind of a retrospective view of things to a certain degree, and to show the current applications of it, and to show combinations. In other words, like bringing Cecil Birch in to do combatives with it, teaching a night fire segment, programs. Got people that have come and taught programs of law enforcement with the revolver and from a historical perspective. So there's a lot you can do, and a lot that I hope we continue to do.
Super. As always, thank you, Wayne.
You're very welcome. Thank you, Michael. Take care.
Here's the truth. The only place you can get training for shooting off body from a fanny pack, from a bag, from a purse, from an ankle holster, stubbies, or other revolvers is here at the Pat Rogers Memorial Revolver Roundup at Gunsite. Everything we've talked about here, of course, you can find at michaelbain.tv. You can also find us on YouTube, on Rumble, on X, used to be Twitter. But remember, there is no such thing as obsolescence. I'm Michael Bain, this is Triggered. See you next week.